you already have a lot of this data, right? Just organize it in a way that's clear, succinct, and clean. How do we solve this through the value chain from risk origination all the way to risk capital? Do you fundamentally understand distribution? Do you fundamentally understand the insurance product? And then thirdly, how do you then attack the problem with technology? Folks that try to just take a purely tech angle will struggle in this business over time.
Welcome to StitchStudio's Pilot to Production. In this series, we're interviewing insurance executives, investors, and consultants to hear real stories of how the industry is operationalizing AI in insurance. From carriers and brokerages to technology partners and investors, you'll gain practical insights, implementation strategies, and lessons learned from the leaders driving enterprise-scale adoption, moving from pilots to implementing responsible, predictable, and explainable AI. I'm Karan Mishra, CEO of StitchStudio, and this is Pilot to Production.
Thank you very much for being here, Joe. We really appreciate you doing this interview series with us. For the benefit of the folks listening to this conversation, Joe Zuck is an operating partner with Altamont Partners, and he has a wealth of experience on the MGA and the TPA side of the house, among other things. Joe, welcome again, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Joe, you have a breadth of experience on the MGA and TPA side. You've done some really interesting things in the space. Would love to just get your point of view on how do you think AI is actually impacting that space, right? It's the flavor of the day. Everybody's talking about it. From your vantage point, what do you think the impact really is to the TPA and MGA space, if you will?
Well, it's a great question. Certainly everybody is adding .ai to their company name for sure right now. Saw that started, I would say, late last year and able by this year. I think we're really seeing AI impact the commercial insurance of the MGA, the TPA space in several ways. First is organizing data, right? Just getting that foundational data layer and trying to use AI to do that. Two, we're seeing AI starting to augment the human workforce, whether it's assisting with underwriting, right? If it's just using third-party data calls, or starting to utilize AI for claims adjustment as a co-pilot. And I think the third area is starting to utilize very, very early stage, and I don't think we're there yet, but voice agents or some automation of some of the more rote tasks, whether it be inbound call center claims, whether it's first notice of loss on the claim side or on the underwriting side, where can AI start to pull records to either validate or whether it's exposure information or experience information for the MGAs and the commercial lines, and certainly in the personal line space where it's probably been used a lot longer than the commercial line segment.
You know, it's very interesting, Joe, something you said, right? And I haven't heard this as someone that's played in the AI space and spent some time there. You said using AI to create the data foundation layer. And you talked about a human in the loop effectively, right? I think the human in the loop is something people are catching on to now, and they understand AI is not quite there, to your point, on replacing a human. It's more an enablement of the human in the loop.
Correct.
But I loved your comment around using AI to get your data ready, because what you usually hear is you need your data ready to get to AI. But what you mentioned is you can use AI to get your data ready. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. No, 100%. I mean, I think we are an industry that is rich in data, right? Even before AI and technology, there's still vast amounts of data in insurance, whether it's on the claim side or whether it's on the underwriting side. And, you know, a lot of folks are saying, oh, go get your data ready and go out and go get data or whatever. Well, you already have a lot of this data, right? Just organize it in a way that's clear, succinct, and clean. I think there's a great use case to just utilize AI to get that foundational data layer ready, and build off of that. And then you can start to do some really interesting things, build that business intelligence layer, and then build from there use cases where you can start to deploy and really analyze, hey, how do I either expand or contract my business in certain ways, whether that's on the underwriting side or on the claim side, and provide real world use cases and insights that not only help your business, but actually expand margin, drive revenue, and create new opportunities. Certainly as the market is starting to soften here, we're coming out of what I would argue a 5-6 year hard insurance market. So it's pretty an exciting time, but to your point, people are thinking about AI not quite in just trying to get the basics right.
Yeah, and I love that take, Joe, because that is honestly a take I haven't really seen in the market and in using. We've always, with machine learning and things, you needed data ready, so it makes sense that people needed that. But that was a refreshing take, I must say that, just in terms of using AI to get data ready. If I just pick that up and I kind of expand that along the continuum, right? And you think about players that are targeting the space, right? You have several players, consulting firms, vendors, technology players in the space that are going after AI. What do you think, particularly from a private equity lens? You have access to a lot of these players in the market. What do you think are the characteristics of someone that's going to be a winner or winners in this AI space?
Yeah, no, certainly. I think it's a great question. I think characteristics are one, understand the basics, like really truly understand insurance. I think in Insurtech 1.0, we saw a lot of folks come from outside the industry that said, hey, we're going to Uberize insurance, get rid of the brokers, we're going to go direct. They were all humbled and all ended up coming back to distribution, who remained still really, really positive. And I think, just in the course of the day and a half that I've been here at ITC, it gets back to distribution. Like, do you fundamentally understand distribution? Do you fundamentally understand the insurance product that you're, building or selling or trying to solve for? And then thirdly, how do you then attack the problem with technology? So from a PE lens or from an investor lens, I think we look at it at Altamont as, hey, do the folks really understand their market? Do they bring operational execution? And how do we then use technology and digital enablement, whether that's a combination of AI or core technology and digital skill sets, to create value, to create margin expansion, and to get more out of the human capital that are driving the business and creating the business. It's still, at the end of the day, insurance is fundamentally a relationship business. I couldn't have said it better, especially because folks, are scared of it, right? And don't understand. It is a legal contract that the insurance policy has put out.
Yeah.
And very much so won't be replaced, at least as far as I think my career, but that is where I think the real advantage lies. And, folks that try to just take a purely tech angle will struggle in this business over time.
Yeah, and I mean, as someone that spent some time in this vertical as well, I couldn't agree with you more, right? I think the industry is a highly regulated industry. It is very compliance focused. There are significant ramifications of decisions we make, and most importantly, it impacts people's lives in a very material way, right? So to have AI replace is not really the answer, is what I'm hearing. It is really, even for the distribution force, in fact, more so for the distribution force, it's an enablement play again, all right? That's really cool. And as you think about this, Joe, from again, right, we talked about the characteristics of what would make a company successful. If you flip the lens and you look at it from the carriers, MGAs, other players in the market that are partnering with some of these Insurtechs, how do you think they should look at that? Would you say it's, again, a function of a product that they're getting, or is it sort of an understanding of the industry, or a mix of both?
It's a good question. I think a bit of mix of both, right? I think a lot of people engage in what I'll call like pilot theater, right? So let's do a pilot, let's do a POC, but they're not actually trying to like ship a product or solve a specific use case. And I always think about this as like incremental of like, I think it would be really cool if somebody took the whole insurance process and literally like chopped it up into like little, bite-sized slices and said, like, how do we solve this through the value chain from risk origination all the way to risk capital? And let's solve through AI and digital combination of where the human can be augmented, what can be automated, and what should really be touched by an underwriter, by a claims adjuster, by somebody in, a servicing aspect of the insurance value chain. And how does that enhance our ability to either sell our insurance product, educate our insured, or result in a better claims outcome, both for the insured as well as the insurance company?
Yeah.
And to me, that's really where people should be striving for, not just try to do what I call kabuki theater. Let's have a pilot and, see you. And then, oh, okay, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Shelve it. Because they really weren't trying to, and they didn't like move the needle, in a Andrian way, right?
Yeah, that's fascinating to hear, Joe. One of the things a couple of things that I would call out to just amplify your point is, one, what I'm almost hearing is that you need to have a system of execution that's end to end, from the distribution all the way till you service the customer. And in addition to that, you almost want to make sure that you get out of this dogma of just doing pilots, and you actually get out and play the sport, right? Instead of watching the sport on TV, you need to get out and play the sport, which is get it to production, right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. And actually sustain that, right?
Yeah.
So we will move that way as an industry.
Absolutely. And I think to an extent, and I love your point of view, I don't think we have a choice as an industry, right? I think the winners are going to be defined by people that adopt AI, not pilot AI.
I think that's right. Look, we continue to have human capital constraints and pressures. We still struggle as an industry to attract a lot of young talent. It's certainly encouraging to see young talent come in from ITC and elsewhere, but overall, we're still struggling as an industry there. Two, I do think, as margins are under pressure, as people want experiences that reflect other experiences that they have in more consumer brands, insurance and other financial services needs to adapt, and to your point, needs to get there sooner rather than later. Despite being a heavily regulated industry, I think there's a lot we can still do that abides by the regulations, but also delivers a much better experience.
I think that statement, Joe, coming from you for all the Insurtechs and carriers out there, one is very encouraging and very gratifying and ratifying in ways. This has been a wonderful conversation, Joe. Just to kind of bring us home, would love to get your point of view. If there was one thing that you would want folks to kind of take away from this conversation, what would that be?
Really good question. If I would say one thing that I'd like for them to take about from this conversation would be really understand what you're trying to solve for with technology or with AI, and really drive it home. So not just experiment or pilot, but really think about end-to-end, how is this going to be sustainable, and how is it going to actually make a difference, not only to the bottom line, but to your workforce as well as your endpoint customer. And if you can kind of operate with that vision, I think you'll be very successful and continue to rinse and repeat that process. I think you'll see some great transformation in your company.
That's wonderful, and that's a wonderful thing for us to take away from this conversation, Joe. Really appreciate the time. Thank you very much again for spending the time with us.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for watching. You can subscribe to our show on YouTube or by following us on LinkedIn. And please consider giving us a rating or a review so it helps others to find our show. Visit StitchStudio.ai to learn more about our applied AI solution built for insurance. See you soon.